Hey, what's up, Wolfden? Let me know if you get here, if you can hear me. I'm going to be relatively quick. I just want to give you some insight as to the big picture because you are an early adopter. If you're here, that means you're one of our people. So drop a comment, hit the like, little thumbs up button. I can only see engagement. I cannot see who is here, and I can't see how many people are here. So just hit the buttons, push all the buttons. And I'm going to break down real quick just an overview. This is not a formal polished overview. I'm actually going to exit this view for a moment just to move stuff around right in front of you. Okay. But here's an idea of the Wolfden ecosystem and conceptually why it was being built the way it's being built. And you can take these principles, these underpinnings, and apply them in any areas that you find them useful. Right? It's kind of the point. So Wolfden ecosystem. Remember, not financial advice. I'm just a guy drawing pictures, talking nonsense on YouTube. Not financial advice. Don't listen to me. I'm just sharing my perspective, and hopefully you take bits and pieces of it and amalgamate it with your perspective and come up with something more useful than what I come up with. Okay. Today I'm going to talk about a few thoughts about how to get what you want. That's the whole point of all of this. It's how to get what you want. And I've taught this in depth in various places. So I'm not going to go super deep into some of this stuff until we do a formal video. All right. But this is really about how to get what you want. That is the point. Let's never forget we're trying to get closer to the things that we want. So if you want to spend more time with your family, doing crypto all day and not spending time with your family is not getting you closer to what you want. It is a micro strategy diametrically opposed to your macro belief. That is not acceptable over a long period of time. All right, so this is how you get what you want. This is what we call the barbell. All right, and this is actually where I'm going to change my view a little bit for you. You're going to have to watch me work. This is Seneca's bimodal strategy of risk mitigation. How do you protect the downside while maintaining the upside, right? Because everybody's just swinging for home runs and they're losing their ass in crypto specifically, but everywhere in life. So how do we protect the downside and maintain the upside? Because a lot of the things that hedge the downside eliminate the upside. We use a bimodal strategy, right? A barbell of risk mitigation. Let me explain what that means really quick. And again, I've taught entire classes on this, so I'm not going to go super deep into it. Most people start a business or start investing or play in crypto because of the upside. It represents a new life. Okay, so hopefully you see me move that over there. It represents a new life. So boom, they start something new. Anything new we typically do because it represents something new, which means there's upside. It's also high risk. No matter what anybody else tells you, if it is new to you, it is high risk. And it's MRV. That means maximal recoverable volume. You're going to have to do a lot of it to learn it. Okay? MED is minimum effective dose. Once you know how to eat a certain way and exercise every day, it doesn't take as much brain power. But when you're first learning, it does. Okay? So it's MRV. Maximal recoverable volume. As much of a thing as you could possibly do to get over the learning curve. Okay? Super simple. Hopefully you guys keep it up here. So we start something and we think, man, we're going to learn this thing. We're going to open this business and it's going to become an asset that works for us. It's going to be reliable. I can go on vacation. I don't have to worry. I'm going to start investing in crypto. It's got all this upside. But once I figure it out, right, it's going to be an asset. And I can finally live the life that I want because I have a reliable income, reliable wealth acceleration. What actually happens most of the time is we start a thing and we get about halfway. This is a job. It no longer has the upside, right? It might still be high risk, but no longer has the upside because we don't have enough time or clarity or bandwidth to recognize the upside. In theory, it's there. It's like if you have a business, but the upside, there's a pretty hard ceiling on it because you don't have any more time left in the day. right? Or even in crypto, the upside is limited because you ran out of Ethereum or BNB, right? So we get into something because it has upside with the idea it's going to become a reliable asset for us. Now, this reliable asset is the thing that represents the life that we want, right? If I can reliably pay my bills and put away enough for retirement without being a stress ball all day long, then I'm on the side of the barbell. All right, so what happens is maybe we have a job, which is right in the middle of the barbell. It doesn't have unlimited upside, right? It's a job. And it's not reliable in the sense that you could get fired, you could get laid off, and you still have to show up every day, right? You never know what's going to happen. So you got a job. A lot of people open a business or start crypto going, upside, this will get me out of my job. And really what they've done, right, they have their job or their business, which is basically a job. They get into something new that represents upside, and it turns into another freaking job. It's not reliable. You can't walk away from the screen. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if it's going to go up or down. You don't know if you're going to make sales or not. It's not reliable. But there's no more upside, right? You've run out of assets. You've run out of Ethereum. You run out of BNB. You run out of time. So the upside is gone. Now you have two jobs. Right? Sometimes people are like, you know what? Maybe I'll do this other kind of thing. Launch another business. Do a new offer. I'll go from Ethereum to Binance Smart Chain. And then you got three jobs. Right? Hopefully that makes sense. What we want to do is we want to have these plays. We want to take our jobs and we want to move them. Let me start here. Three jobs. Let's say we got three things that represent income. Could be one, could be five, whatever. We want to get them either on the reliable side, where they're reliably producing what we need them to produce without putting out fires all day long and watching screens and stressing out, losing sleep. Or they need to be over here where there's nearly unlimited upside still, right? Anything in the middle we have to get rid of. Does not serve us, okay? Now, ideally, we would be able to play the upside and move it over, right? Start something new. Let's say you do a pre-sale in crypto and you 5x your money. Awesome. Instead of putting it back into more upside, we take a percentage and we put it over here and we stake it where it is now reliably, especially if it's like Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's probably going to grow and it's getting interest, right? And then we play with new assets over here. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Everything's got to fit on one side of the barbell. We always want to be accumulating. We need to accumulate reliable assets until our core capital is funded. Our core capital is the amount we need to get what we want out of life. So we cannot just keep swinging for the fences over here. We can't have jobs in upside plays. Right? It's a very, very dangerous game. Very, very dangerous game. What we want is maybe a little reliable. Let's say got a nice little farm making, I don't know, $300 a week or something. It's not a ton, but it's reliable, right? Very minimum management, and you can kind of count on it. Now, can we make an upside play over here? Win a pre-sale, 3x it, and instead of putting it 100% back into a high risk, can we take some of that and put it over here? Right? And what we're doing is on this side, we are accumulating what we need for the life that we want. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. That is a bimodal strategy. Eventually, these things start compounding, right? And once you have reached your core capital number, once this reliable side is enough to fund your priorities in a timeline that is appropriate, you can swing for the fences and try to collapse time over here. Once you say, okay, cool, now that I got this over here, I can retire in 15 years, and I'm okay with that. It's not ideal, but I'm okay with that. Now I can come over here with all my extra capital. You don't rob Peter to pay Paul. Don't rob from this side to pay this side, right? But I can take all my extra capital, swing for the fences, and maybe I hit a home run and I retire in 2 years. Right? And if not, that's okay because the reliable side was filled out. All right, so I want to introduce that bimodal strategy. That's my personal strategy on everything. So the frame shift is you got to go from thinking short term. This is what people do: short term, medium term, long term. What's my strategy? And we got to invert it. So we got to go from short term, medium term, long term to what is my long term goal? What do I really want? Because I have to craft a strategy that gets those funds, those resources on this side of the barbell. You don't only have to play the long game, but you have to start chipping away at it, right? So what's my long-term goal? Long-term assets, we want the price to be irrelevant. I'll explain that in a minute. And then we say, what's my medium-term goal? And what's my short-term goal? Right? We have to back into it, meaning we don't know what we should do today if we don't know how much core capital we need right here in what timeline. We're just guessing. If we don't have this information, we're just guessing, which is why people are chasing pumps and getting honeypotted and losing their money. And they make 3x and they have to wait a little bit longer and then it dumps on them because they have not determined what they need in the short term. Once you know that, you can use pumps, right? You can catch pre-sales and pumps. Your short-term holds can be B&B so that, and I'll talk about this in a minute, it can be B&B so that you can catch a pump at any time. So you just got a little bit of B&B on you, right? Or a tool. You need to send money to a friend. You need to send some B&B to a friend. Well, you need B&B in your wallet, right? So how do you know what to do short term? Depends on what you're doing medium term. How do you know what to do medium term? Depends on what you're doing long term, right? Now, from an asset perspective, my opinion is I want long-term holds where price is becoming irrelevant. Bitcoin is a good example. I know everybody's worried about the price, but to true Bitcoiners, the price is irrelevant. It represents something much, much different than what people looking at the US dollar value think it does. I'm not going to get into that. You can do your own research. Medium-term holds are the things that we think are going to pump, right? I'll give you some examples in a minute. In short-term, these are things that we just acquire as we need them. I do not hold a ton of B&B. I just have enough to jump in a last-minute pre-sale or a pump, and I have enough to process transactions. I don't keep a bunch of B&B in my wallet. It doesn't serve my medium or long-term goals. It might serve yours. It doesn't serve mine. Okay? Same with Ethereum. I don't keep a ton of Ethereum in my wallet. Now, long-term are the things with infrequent moves. You do not want to move Bitcoin around a lot. I don't, anyway. You don't want to try and buy and sell it. Try to buy and sell Bitcoin if you want more Bitcoin is stupid. It is a short-term strategy diametrically opposed to your long-term beliefs. If you want more Bitcoin, you should never sell it, even if you think you're going to end up with more Bitcoin, because most of the time you're going to be wrong and you're going to end up with less Bitcoin. Medium-term is semi-frequent moves. That might be weekly compounding, daily compounding, checking the charts every now and then. And short-term are the daily moves, right? We want to limit the short-term. If you really want to do 3 pre-sales a day, that's fine. But you're back in the barbell, you're right in the middle. You have a job. If the only way you pay your bills is by winning 1 out of 3 pre-sales every day, that's great, but you still have a job, okay? And you have no control over it, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Now here's my view. When I say long-term, I mean years or decades. These are things that the price is becoming irrelevant, meaning Bitcoin price is going to keep going up. In my opinion, everybody I've ever known, everybody I know that's always been on the right side of the market understands and believes that Bitcoin is going to keep going up because the price is irrelevant. Day traders will try to profit, sure. But there's only 21 million Bitcoin ever in existence. The price is going to become irrelevant. Wolfies, I'll explain why in a minute. And Ethereum, right? Here's why Ethereum. Because the price of Ethereum doesn't matter. If you need it to run transactions, if you plan on using the Ethereum network, you need Ethereum to process transactions. So while it may not go up to $1 million, the price of the asset is irrelevant. I want a lot of Ethereum. It allows me to do things. because the price is irrelevant, it will probably continue to go up on average, right? The reason, I'll explain why in a minute. Okay, medium term, weeks or months. These may become long term. We just haven't seen Cardano or Truebit in action. So they're speculative, but I believe that the speculation will create huge pumps on these things. So I have Cardano, I have a lot of Cardano, I have a lot of Truebit. I have tens of thousands of dollars, almost $100,000 in one of them. And that is because I believe, one, it could become a long-term hold, and I got it for super cheap. But two, they're going to pump really hard. I don't know when. That's why they're medium term. I don't know when. And if and when they do, I will take those profits and flip them into long-term holds, because they're going to pump much harder than these long-term holds potentially, right? And they may become long-term holds, and I'll have a bunch of them, right? So the medium-term stuff is not stuff that you watch every day. Long-term stuff, don't watch it. Medium-term stuff, you don't watch it every day, in my opinion, right? These are things that could become long-term holds, but the speculation around them is going to lead probably to a huge pump. So I will at least get a bunch of profit and flip it into my long-term. Okay. I got a few others here. Fox is a Shapeshift. I got a few others. Matic. I'll break down my portfolio to people in our dire wolf tier and explain my reasoning. And then short term, days, utility and hype. Notice how Ethereum is both short term and long term. That's because I have some in my day trading wallet and some in my long term hold account where it's getting interest. Because you need Ethereum, you need BNB, right? You need these things in order to jump into a pre-sale, in order to process a transaction, in order to remove your staking. Okay, so something can be a short-term and a long-term, same asset, but they're divided differently so that we don't start eating into our long-term holds, right? So that's my view. You could take it, amalgamate it, do whatever you want with it, but that is the view that I have, and this is how I operate and have done really, really well in a short amount of time in a pretty shitty market. Okay. So what makes it a long hold? That's the question. You have to do your own research here. Okay, this is my opinion. What makes it a long hold? And this is an oversimplified explanation of supply shock. All right, you can go Google supply shock or watch YouTube videos or whatever you like to do. It can make you FU money, like truly FU money. It's a long hold. Pump and dumps are not going to make you FU money. They're going to make you you might make $100,000 in a day, and that's awesome. But if you lose it all the next day in the next pump and dump, well, then you don't have FU money, right? Limited supply. This is what I'm looking for. I want a limited supply, and the key is that the holders, the people that have it, refuse to get rid of it because it represents something else. So traders, people that are watching the charts, they're looking at the price of Ethereum. It's going up, it's going down. Do I buy it? Do I sell it? But true crypto degens, they aren't really selling their Ethereum ever. One, they believe the price will go up, but two, they need the Ethereum to continue to degen. Right? As of right now, you want to play on Ethereum. You want to jump into Floki right now. You want to buy a bunch of Truebit. You need Ethereum. So it represents the ability to maintain your degenerate identity. Right? Bitcoin represents something else entirely. People don't care about the price of Bitcoin. They really don't. Not the multimillionaires and billionaires. That's why they keep buying it. Right? So the holders have to refuse to sell for the current market price. So if there's a limited supply and the people that have it refuse to sell it at the current price, the people that want it are going to have to pay more. That means the price goes up. Right? Super oversimplified. Hope that makes sense. It has very little to do with all the other stuff. Right? It just has to, you have a thing, and there's only one, and I want that thing. The price goes up. The price is dependent on what you are willing to sell it for. Period. Doesn't matter what the market price is. Right? People forget that because they're always like, oh, what about the utility? This doesn't make any sense. Yada, yada, yada. People have been bitching about the utility of Bitcoin since it was like $100. Okay? So the people that understand this probably made a shit ton of money on Bitcoin. All right, so here is the Wolfden ecosystem. Let's go back to this this barbell. Okay? We have our day trading. Remember, this is high upside, high risk. High upside, high risk. And the real goal is to fund our core capital. Have our long holds cover everything we need. If you have enough Bitcoin, people say, oh, when do I get cash? Like, you can borrow cash against your Bitcoin. You can just have cash whenever you want if you got enough Bitcoin. Right? So we got our long holds and our day trading. Right, now, what we've done, selfishly, because it's what I want, is we've built a long hold in Guardian. Right? It's not going to be a long hold for everybody. I'll explain that in a minute. A long hold plus the ecosystems that we're pulling together that passively and reliably you can split up 25%, 75%, 50-50, 100, it doesn't matter. You can passively and reliably and in a compounding nature fund your long holds. Right? You could wait. I can't tell you what the next step of the ecosystem is because it's not out yet, but you could generate asset X passively, flip it for Bitcoin, and then boom, you're just, over time, you're filling this up. And then you could take the rest of your yield and compound it to get more Bitcoin, or pull it into BNB and day trade with it so you have the upside. This is a Guardian, and the ecosystem that we're pulling together is a machine that allows you to play both simultaneously however you see fit. Some people might put none of it into long hold and just day trade, and that's fine. It's silly, but that's fine. It's not what we'd recommend. Some people might say, you know, I don't need money right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use all this passive. I'm just going to dump it into long holds for my FU retirement. Okay? So Guardian allows for both. That's why we came out Guardian and the ecosystem that we're providing. Okay? You can actually start serving both sides of your barbell. Now, the closer you are to getting what you want, if you're already on track or you're very, very close, you might just put it straight into your long holds to close the gap. You just take your yield, buy Bitcoin, get 5% on your Bitcoin. If you're a little bit further away, you could day trade, get in a pre-sale, 3x your money, and put it back into the Guardian ecosystem. Right? This is the golden goose that is now funding your upside and your reliability. Hopefully that makes sense. Right? The first question everybody's going to ask is, but how do I make money today? And that's why you keep losing your ass. You make money today by building a little bit of a golden goose and then taking pieces of the eggs that it spits out, the yield, and you trade with that. And if it's only 0.2 BNB or 0.1 BNB, then that's what you swing with. Right? And if you double it, great. Now you have 0.2, put it back and pull out 0.3 and turn it into 0.6, right? It compounds quickly, but don't kill the golden goose. And don't not have a system for this side of the barbell. Okay? That's how you get what you want. This is FU money right here. FU money does not come from right here. And if it does, it's like 1 in 70 trillion odds. So let's lock in the FU money. It's going to take longer than you want, but that's okay. Let's lock it in first and then start going for those 1 in 70 trillion odds. Okay. Again, that's the bimodal strategy, which Guardian unlocks and the ecosystem unlocks. Now, Wolfies, let's talk about, you want to day trade, you want to know the inside secrets, you want to know the stuff we know, you want to know when to buy, when to sell, you want to know some of the yield farms that we get first access to, and they have like 4,000% APY. There's a way to do that. Let me let me explain how you can greatly amplify both of these ends of the barbell. And it's going to explain why Wolfies is a long hold. Wolfies and supply shock. Wolfies, there's a ton of them right now. Some people have a ton. There's a lot in circulation. Not a lot in circulation, but there's a lot of supply. Okay. Wolfies represents currency and access. You want to come play our pre-sales? I just got our Direwolf members into a whitelist, a very, very small whitelist that's going to be a home run. The only way you have any access to the inside information and all of these trainings we're doing and all this stuff that's coming and staying a step ahead of everybody else is to have Wolfies. Okay? So it represents more than just the price on the chart. That's why I don't even look at the chart. Now we're going to burn 99% of the supply in August in like 2 weeks. So that supply is going to poof, gone. So now it's the only way to get inside access to expedite and print your FU money. And almost all of it's going to be gone in a couple weeks. Right now, what exists, there's a 4% tax on Wolfies. 2% of that goes directly out to high yield farming. Right, so it's getting farmed right now. We got a big fat farming wallet, and it's getting a yield. We don't tell anybody when, except for our highest level members. We tell them as it's happening. Once we close a trade, right, meaning, okay, the yield has gone down or some of these assets have pumped up and we close it, we turn around and we buy back Wolfies with 100% of this tax plus all of the yield that we generated, which means not only are we buying back more than what was sold for the percentage, we're not just buying back the percentage, we're buying back more. Right? That's why I don't worry about the chart. And over a long period of time, that's why people that understand what's going on don't care about the chart. Because even if it gets dampy tomorrow, it's just a matter of time before we buy it all back. And here's what happens when we buy it back. We burn it, which means there will be huge numbers of buys and there will be no sells from those buys. It's the rising floor. Okay? So the supply goes down, and there's a big if. I'm not telling you this is a fact. If people want access to our information and our strategies and our inside and our partnerships and stuff like that, then the price will become irrelevant. People won't care what the cost of Wolfies is because it represents them learning how to get FU money. Right? If the price becomes irrelevant and the supply is going down, that makes it a long-term hold. Right? Hopefully that makes sense. So that's the Wolfie supply shock. Now, here's the cool thing. We got this Wolfie, boom, 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 right? Now remember, we got Guardian. Most people should be holding Guardian. In my opinion, they should be holding Guardian and farming it because the price will go up from here. And keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of people that day trade. They're never even going to know. They're not going to watch this video. They're not going to go into our Telegram. They're not going to understand our community. They don't care about the Wolfden. They just want to buy and sell and buy and sell and buy and sell and scalp and pump and dump and all that stuff. And that's great. That's great because 1%, there's a 1% tax on all transactions for Guardian, which goes right into the farm and buyback and burn for Wolfies. Which means if you have Guardian, right, as part of your passive strategy and one of your medium or long-term holds, obviously I think it should be a long-term hold, then you should also in time use a tiny bit of your yield to just pick up some Wolfies here and there while they're still reasonably affordable. Right? Every transaction that happens within this ecosystem drives the supply of Wolfies down. And we drive the supply down by buying it and burning it, which means there's always going to be a correction. If it damps down, it's just a matter of time. We don't go by the chart. We go by our farm. So when our farm has produced maximum yield, we come and we buy back. We don't react to the chart. We do what is best for the project long term, which is wait out maximum yield from a farm. And we buy back. And as soon as that happens, the price of Wolfies goes up, the supply goes down. Okay? So Guardian volume, it's silly in my mind to sell Guardian because of what it unlocks. However, if you do want to sell it, that's okay. And if people want to try to pump and dump it because it's got a low tax, great. Because that tax just goes to buying up the long hold, pumping up the price of the long hold, driving down the supply of the long hold. Right? So, hopefully that makes sense. We got our day trading. Everybody's going to do this. I understand. I don't know why everybody wants to do this, because most people would make more money had they bought Ethereum and sat and did nothing. They'd have more Ethereum than day trading it away. But whatever. Then we got our long holds over here. It's our Wolfies. I also have Bitcoin. Wolfies and Bitcoin are my two primary ones. I do have a small bit of Ethereum in that. It's a separate account that gets interest. Guardian, the Guardian plus the ecosystem should fund those things. And if you want access to how we do it, when we do it, white lists, huge unfair advantages, inside information, or sometimes we just trade live together. We do that all the time. Then you pay for it in Wolfies. Right? Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know. Feel free to share this video if it was helpful. Push a little thumbs up button. That's the only way anybody's ever going to see these things, because not going to market them until the ship has already passed. We reward people for thinking. We do not reward them for hype. All right, so I'm not going to hype people up with all of this until the big movement's already happened. But if you have friends, if you have family, if you have partners, and you think it's useful, go ahead and share with them. You guys are great, and we're going to do a lot of cool stuff in the Telegram, so get in the Telegram. If you have Wolfies, you can get into the Discord. We have a lot of deeper conversations in there. And I'll see you guys when I see you guys.